Grabbing a big injured snake off the road, what could go wrong? Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're starting our roundup of clips with a man who tries to do a snake rescue and achieves the worst possible outcome. This is a guy trying to push a boa constrictor off the road. Boa constrictors are non-venomous, but their bites are quite painful. His approach wasn't that bad. There's a genius instead, stepping up.
Ah, agora chegou um macho. Aí, ó. Aí foi na mão dele aí, tá vendo? Na mão. Quebrou foi o dente, o otário. Ó, volta pra pista.
Poor snake.
Pegar na cabeça dela, senão vai. Passaram por cima dela, foi isso? Não. Não. Alguém passou por cima dela.
So there he's achieved the worst possible result. You've got a boa constrictor which is probably injured, right? Its posture was a little bit off at the start and it's on a road. It doesn't need more moving around and hurting if you can avoid it. So flinging it back onto the road like that's not great. He also got bitten multiple times. Not really serious because it's a boa, but it does hurt. It can get infected, I guess. But the other guy, his approach of pushing it off the road with a stick was actually better. Even though it looks kind of rough, it was better than what that guy was doing. If you haven't really got access to animal control or anything like that, you can pick up a snake with a long branch or a stick or push it or guide it or lift it if it's a really long stick, right, and there's no danger to yourself. So overall there, that was just unnecessary. This guy comes in gung-ho, tries to resolve a situation and actually makes it much worse, and there's probably a lesson in that. So I just want to reassure you with this one that no one gets hurt, snake or cat. This looks to be a Chinese cobra, and as you can see, its reflexes aren't a match for the cat's, which is the case most of the time. But watch what happens next. No. That was textbook cobra behavior. They'll hood up, they'll stand their ground if they think it's going to work. After a while, when they realize the mock strikes and the hooding up isn't working, they'll just chicken out, they'll turn tail, and they'll get away as fast as they can. Hopefully the cat stood off and let it go. I don't know what happened.
Well, for many of us, it would be an absolute nightmare fuel. But like a proud Queenslander, Paige Gore, having a huge Huntsman crawl all over her, well, that was just a walk.
I'm freaking out about the ones behind us.
Take a look.
I might need some help here. Oh, it's just sitting there. Oh my goodness. This video that we are looking at now has millions of views.
That's got to be an arachnophobic's nightmare right there. A huge spider on your neck. I don't really like anything near my neck, let alone a huge spider, even though Huntsmans are completely harmless. This is a lady who apparently is famous for rescuing snakes, and she's got a 10-foot odd king cobra there. It's quite funny because I see a lot of guys who like swing cobras around and act really like macho with it, and there's a little old lady just holding one like it's her handbag. Fire and rescue, of course. Fire and rescue get called for absolutely everything. If you wanted to be a firefighter and thought you'd only look after fires, you'd be seriously disappointed. That was in India again, and people screaming and running away. It's pretty normal in a country like that. I believe that was actually a large rat snake, so completely harmless. But again, if you don't know what it is, you're not confident identifying it, best to get the heck away. Especially somewhere like India where there is what we can genuinely call a snake bite epidemic. There are literally thousands of people bitten by snakes, many of whom die every single year. That was interesting because it was quite a crocodile gathering going on there in some floods, and those looked to be mugger or marsh crocodiles, which are a broad-snouted species. They're related to, I believe, the saltwater croc and the Siamese crocodile. Something interesting happens with them as well when there are floods, and with other crocodile species, they'll actually explore new areas. They'll go with the water, they'll look for new food sources, and they'll explore new kind of outlets of the river, but then occasionally when it dries up again, they get stranded and have to walk miles back to their main river.
Can you outrun the fastest known spider in the world? This is the brown huntsman from, you guessed it, Australia. And in a race against more than 250 other spider species from all over the world, it came out as the quickest, with a peak speed of 3.59 meters per second, or 13 kilometers per hour. And their average sustained speed is closer to 2 meters per second.
That is quite interesting because we often talk about how fast the American cockroach is, as it's one of the fastest running insects in the world, but I think their top speed is around 1.5 meters per second, so that huntsman is exceptionally fast, more than fast enough to catch bugs, I guess.
I have officially been blocked by the Alaska Zoo. Yesterday I made a video regarding a mauling between two bears that happened at their facility. I pointed out that Kitty, the bear that was attacked, seemed to be in better condition at her previous residence than she is at the zoo.
Better in condition or not molting? It's hard to tell really, isn't it?
I also pointed out that the zoo should have better protocol when these types of attacks happen. I just want to make one thing clear. I don't blame the bear for acting like a bear. I blame the Alaska Zoo for putting an allegedly blind female bear in the same enclosure as a boar twice her size during mating season.
That does sound stupid, but in fairness, I also found some footage of what someone was saying were the same bears, and yes, they are fighting a little bit, play fighting, but it doesn't, you know, as far as bear body language goes, it doesn't look that serious to me. I mean, a real bear fight is worse than that, you know, by a lot. But this is one of those things where I need to sort of hand it over to the audience and ask for comments, because this channel, I didn't really just make it just for us to have fun and learn stuff. It is about that, but it's also about trying to force conversations about how we treat animals, mostly reptiles, but also, you know, bears and any other animal. So the question is, for me, is, are zoos a good thing? Are they a bad thing? I've been to zoos where I've genuinely thought the animals looked sad, depressed, and on the edge of unhealthy. I've been to other zoos where I thought that it looked good and I knew they had good conservation programs. So really, I'm just sort of wondering what everyone thinks about zoos in general. Are they a good thing? Are they a bad thing? Are there exceptions to the rule?
He's huge. Look at him staring. Whoa! Oh my God! Back up! Break it. Move. Go. Run! Everybody else.
So this is a clip of an AI gorilla breaking a window basically, and the reason I included it is I was kind of shocked that apparently millions of people were fooled by it. That's what I read in an article, and I just don't believe that. I don't know how that's possible, if people can really be fooled by AI clips when there's literally Sora written on it as a watermark.
Ew! What are you doing, buddy?
What are you doing, Neil? Very smart seal.
Yeah. He's smashed through this fence and he's back in his favourite spot.
I've been kindly reminded that I should have had Neil the seal in last week's video, so here he is.
Now, Neil, don't get angry with it, Neil. You've already broke it. Neil will go to the beach when Neil wants to go to the fucking beach. What's wrong with these guys?
That's me on the toilet.
What the
That is, of course, Neil the seal in Tasmania, who's a southern elephant seal. He's around 1,000 kilos, maybe 2,000 pounds plus, but he's not even full grown, and he's just decided he has no respect for human structures at all. He's going to go where he wants and do what he wants, basically. And I mean, looking at how us humans behave, you can't really blame him for lacking respect, can you?
A newly discovered spider in far north Queensland is puzzling researchers with a hunting technique that has never been seen before. There he is, nicknamed the ballista spider. It seems to use a lure to tempt ants onto a spring-loaded web before catapulting them into a trap. Researchers say it's an ingenious method of catching prey.
This is pretty fascinating. As far as I know, the spider makes 30-odd strands, I think it was around 30, I can't remember, of web under high tension, so it stretches them down to this like little launch pad thing, and then when a green ant, which is being territorial, bites it to try and get rid of it or whatever, it snags its jaws and pings it up into the main web.
The animal entering the water is an anaconda that has been affectionately named Tiny Tim by the locals. This footage was recorded along the Amazon River in Brazil. Tiny Tim is estimated to measure in excess of 30 feet in length. The snake's size was officially certified by Francisco Lima, the cacique of the local indigenous community. The local population has coexisted with the anaconda for years without incident. Tiny Tim's current location is unknown.
Unknown because he's not real. Mathematically speaking, this video is highly improbable. You don't need to prove it's fake to know it's fake. So an anaconda in excess of 30 feet genetically would be an extreme rarity, and it's something we haven't seen in over a century, if it ever happened at all, which frankly I doubt. So that's the first mathematical improbability. The second is that this one doesn't have markings that match a typical green or northern anaconda, either of the two larger species as far as I know. So really the probability of this happening is perhaps the same as me going out today and winning the lottery twice. You know, it just doesn't happen, does it?
Well, sometimes you never think you're going to say this on TV, but be on the lookout. Right now, an alligator is on the loose in DeKalb County.
It's owned by a man who runs a traveling educational exhibit with exotic animals called Mark's Ark. Take a look. This is video from many years ago. It shows the missing alligator named Irwin when he was very young. Well, the gator is now 20 years old, but isn't much bigger than you see there. As 21.
How is that possible?
Tom Powell explains the owner reported Irwin missing to the sheriff's department, and now some neighbors are worried.
The DeKalb County Sheriff says the alligator is only 2 feet long and is not a threat to anyone. The owner says its biggest prey would be a mouse.
These are all my animals, I can do that.
Mark Holhurst lives along a county road in the southern part of DeKalb County, where he has turtles, a turkey, and snakes.
I've got a lot of animals.
He's traveled with his interactive animal show called Mark's Ark for decades. He visits nursing homes, schools, and birthday parties to teach about exotic animals, like this legless lizard.
This is Rasputin.
Rasputin is home safe and sound. It's Irwin the alligator that escaped from this cooler as Colhurst unloaded his...
I'm still trying to get my head around a 20-year-old, 2-foot-long male alligator. That really doesn't make sense. I don't know what happened there. But what I can tell you, as I used to live about 2 counties over from this place, is that these summers in Indiana, you know, it's somewhere an alligator could survive, maybe till late September even. But the winters, the freeze is just too deep up there. So he will die over the winter. I hope he's found beforehand, and I hope we get an explanation as to why he was so small after so long in captivity.
Actual capybara terlepas.
Just a random capybara strolling into a car wash in Malaysia. Last week it was one on the loose in England.
A raccoon named Jimothy has taken the world by storm, and his mother deserves some recognition too. The compact, spherical raccoon was recently spotted scampering around by a Seattle local named Kiana, who named him Jimothy because, in her words, he looked like a Jimothy. While he's a wild animal who hasn't been formally assessed, he appears to have what's called short spine syndrome. And long before he had garnered any attention online, Jimothy was an even smaller circular orb, wobbling around with his family, which is where Mama Jimothy, or Jimberly as I'll call her, comes into play. In the raccoon world, it's not uncommon for mothers to abandon kits that are born sick or with disabilities, as the extra effort that it takes her to raise them could potentially put the rest of the litter at risk. But Jimberly didn't do that. According to families who watched the family around their backyards for months, Jimberly and the other kits were endlessly patient with their little roly-poly.
Short spine syndrome, we think it's due to a genetic component, but it could also be due to some kind of disruption during embryonic development. But either way, it affects the development of the spine before birth. So that raccoon, yes, he looks a bit messed up, but that's just how he is now. And to be honest, if he doesn't have other health issues, that is done at birth, right? So this isn't an ongoing disease. He could be relatively healthy and happy for a few years to come.
We are out in the jungle right now, and I'm not going to go too close, but there's a Central American boa underneath this log.
And it definitely gave us a bit of a surprise because I've never seen a boa like this in the wild, and they average around 6 to 8 feet. These boas give birth to live young, and the females are typically heavier and larger than the males.
And they're not venomous, but if they do feel threatened, they will strike, and it will be very painful, and it will wreck your day, so we are going to leave this one alone.
Did you see that crazy thing she had in her hand? A camera with a good lens on, so she can just educate us about the snake and take photos at a distance, rather than grabbing it and strangling the crap out of it.
When we bought our house, we didn't realize that we were also buying a large population of snakes. So imagine our surprise when we found them inside the roof of our porch, in our pool, in the pond, and around the edges of the property. If you find yourself in this situation, the right response is not to burn the entire property to the ground, as so many people have suggested. Snakes are attracted to food, so if you find and remove their food source and all the places that they like to hide, then they'll kind of just go away on their own. For us, that meant removing the pool, closing up all the gaps in our stone buildings, finding and closing all the gaps in the porch roof so that these guys stopped hanging out right outside my front door, and then removing all the stumps, bushes, and trees that were dead and dying on the property. Apparently, black snakes can climb trees, and if you've got a dead standing tree or even a big rotten stump, they'll just move right inside. As we continue to make progress, we see less snakes every year, and this old fountain is next. Sorry, buddy, you're gonna have to move.
That was interesting because he's got a bunch of snakes on his property, and he's decided to take this smart approach of just making their food and hiding places less available within his property, and he's seeing less and less every year because he's taken the sensible, grown-up approach. Now, when you get the contrast of people who just kill them whenever they see them and they say, oh yeah, it was on my property so I had to kill it, it really makes those people look kind of less intelligent and more weak, to have that weak-minded, process of thought where you think, I don't like something, I'm going to kill it. Whereas this guy is smart, he's mature, and he said, I don't like something, so I'm going to resolve the situation. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. As always, let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if there's anything I should include next week. Thank you very much.